guys, and welcome to another Tutors video. And today's video we're going to be talking about how to get a 7 in your SO Business and Management IA. So before actually getting into the video, I wanted to let you guys know there is a difference between the HO and SO requirements. The two main things are HO has a higher word count, as well as the research proposal that HL students are required to write, which is usually presented at the start of their IA. So let's get into it. Before actually writing the IA, it's very important to choose a company that has information from a variety of different perspectives. My personal recommendation is to go for a public limited company because they tend to have a lot more secondary sources available for you to analyze. After that, the next step would be to choose a sector of interest in whichever company you do decide to take a look at. An example of this can be marketing or operation areas of the company that you've chosen. Following that, you're going to need to come up with an open-ended question that is focused on the company of your choice. You want to do this so that the research you've conducted can be used to answer that question. An example of a good research question would be, to what extent does the fall in prices internationally affect the profitability of Royal Dutch Shell? After that, I'm also going to be talking about how to choose your research. It's very important to note that the majority of information that you're required to have for an SLIA is going to come from secondary sources. For example, journals, websites, articles. Primary sources are optional for this IA. According to criterion C of the assessment, it's important to include supporting documents. While researching for your IA, you're going to need to have at least 5 supporting documents, from which the majority of your arguments and points are going to be sourced from. These supporting documents will be primarily used to answer your research question. Please, and this is very important, make sure that all the articles that you're using and have chosen have been published in the last 3 years to make sure that you're analyzing the most recent data. Finally, I recommend using the assessment criterion as well, as it is the one that's provided by your teacher as a checklist, and a way to structure your IA, because it does highlight all the key requirements that you do need to do for you to get that 7. A bonus tip is also for you to refer to past IAs that have scored highly to see the way the arguments were analyzed, and if it is an option, see if you can see the markers' comments as well, see what went wrong and what went well for that specific IA, and maybe it can help you with yours. Now, moving on to the structure of the IA. So as you can see, the actual IA consists of a title page, a contents page, which is optional, acknowledgements, which again are optional, an introduction, which should be around 150 words, methodology of 200 words, analysis and discussion of 900 words, a conclusion of 250 words, a bibliography, and appendices. So for the first section, this includes the title page, and this is a section where you clearly state the research question and the word count of your IA. It's the same for any IA that you have, very basic, very easy to do. Now, the second part is the contents page. While it is optional, it's a nice addition that you should probably add if you want to highlight the various sections of your IA. It also makes it easier to read and to refer back to it for the marker. And the final part in the first section is the acknowledgements, which again is optional. And this is just for you to thank specific people and any teachers that have helped you in any way, maybe provided you with specific feedback and information that has helped you write your IA. After that, you have your introduction, which is 150 words. This should be a brief introduction to the company that you're researching and the issue that you're discussing. You should also mention your research question and the context and methodology behind choosing the research question that you came up with. After that, you have your methodology, which is around 250 words. This is where you will be mentioning the tools that you use to research and how these tools aided you in answering your research question. You're also going to want to mention the business tools that you will be using for the analysis section and how the research you have found works with the business tools that you're going to be using. Using statistics is a very good idea in this scenario. Following that, you have your longest paragraph, which is the analysis and discussion, 900 words. So for this one, there's a certain structure that I have personally followed while analyzing the various perspectives that I found while researching. First, I would state the source and what the source is intending to highlight. Then I would analyze the source using a business concept or tool that I learned in the subject and link this analysis towards a possible solution towards solving the research question. This would not only show a thorough understanding of your knowledge in business and management, but this will also aid in showing that you can take research and link it back to the research question to support your argument. Please do try and use a variety of tools, and you can divide this section up into three. Each section having 300 words. This is plenty for conducting an analysis. It also is important to mention the limitations that you faced while researching, because you can use these points to aid your conclusion. Some people do choose to do this in the methodology as it makes more sense, but since the methodology section has a very limited word count, you can also mention it in the analysis section. After the analysis section, you have your conclusion, which is 250 words. With all the analysis that you have conducted above and the many conclusions that have been drawn out in each of the three sections in the previous paragraph, you can then summarize your findings. It's important that in the conclusion, you answer the research question. Otherwise, you're going to score very poorly in the conclusion. You want to make sure that you've answered the question that you've come up with. After that, you have your bibliography, and all sources that you've used throughout the IA should be cited in the format that's instructed by your teacher. It really depends on your school. Each school does it differently. I remember mine did MLA. If your school does Harvard, just make sure that you're following the citation examples, because you can lose points if you don't cite properly, and it's a waste of points. After that, you want to have your appendices, and this is basically where you're going to put your 5 supporting documents that you've used. Now, this is the structure of the IA, and after you've finished it, there are still a few more things that you want to do. So once you've completed it, you want to make sure that your entire bibliography is cited correctly, because like I said, you can lose points, you can lose out on maybe miss that 7, and it's pointless. It's a loss of points on a very simple thing to do, very simple thing to check. And as mentioned above, again, please do use the assessment criterion as a checklist to make sure that you've covered all the points. It's a very easy guide to help you get that 7, as long as you make sure that you have everything that it needs. And the final point would be that peer reading is always useful, because other people can look over your work and give you ideas that you didn't think that you wouldn't have come up with otherwise. And all feedback is good feedback. Always take it with a grain of salt. They're just trying to help you. No one's criticizing or judging your work. Everyone's just trying to help you better it. But best of luck with your IAs, and I hope that you found this guide useful. And we will have weekly IB tips and tricks that are going to be coming, so stay tuned in case we drop a video that helps you with any of your subjects. And if you need extra help, please do visit our website. It's going to be in the link in the description below. And we offer a 15-minute free session for any new users. So please, if you need extra help, just use the link below.